Hey guys, what's up? I'm Isabel, one of the Pastolos Trios, and today we're actually going to focus on one topic, being that it is such huge news right now. Um, we are experiencing a historic event, and there is so much that is going on. We figured it'd be best to give much more attention to this. I do want to give fair warning. We are going to give Christine Blasey Ford's testament. It does get a little graphic, so uh, warning to anyone who is sensitive to the topic of sexual assault. So I just want to let people know this may not be the video for you. Okay, so here we go. The Kavanaugh and Ford hearing. On Thursday, September 27th, Christine Blasey Ford testified to the Senate about her sexual assault allegations against Judicial Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. She recounted details of what happened that night 30 years ago, when Kavanaugh allegedly pinned her to the bed, attempted to rip off her clothes, and covered her mouth in order to muffle her screams. In the hearing, she was quoted saying, "I believe he was going to rape me." She said that her strongest memory was when Kavanaugh and his friends piled on top of her, laughing. The moments leading up to this, Ford recounts being at a gathering with friends. She had one beer, but Kavanaugh and his friend Mark Judge were clearly intoxicated. When she went to use the restroom, she was pushed into a bedroom with Mark and Brett. Mark turned up the music in the room while Brett pushed her into the bed and began running his hands all over her and grinding on her. She was wearing a one-piece bathing suit, so he could not take off her clothes, and she managed to run to the restroom after they fumbled off the bed, and waiting to hear Brett and Mark leave while they were laughing. Before this hearing, it was decided that she would be questioned by an outside lawyer, and they did not announce who this woman would be. Come to find out, her name is Rachel Mitchell. Mitchell was chosen by 11 male senators to question Ford in order to not have repeats of the Anita Hill hearing, where she was questioned by men who were truthfully insensitive and asking her questions such as, "Do you consider yourself a scorned woman?" Objectively, it was probably for the best that they chose to just have a woman lawyer who specializes in cases just like these. Although Mitchell is Republican, people on the left and right were surprised by her objectivity and fairness when questioning them. At the end, she confessed that the time limit set on her stopped her from being able to poke holes into Dr. Ford's story. Being that Dr. Ford is a psychologist professor at Stanford, she interestingly took a scientific approach when asked specific questions, such as how could she be sure it was Kavanaugh. She went on to explain how the neurotransmitters codes into your hippocampus and the trauma-related experience is locked in there, but some of the other details are more fuzzy. The main defense against Dr. Ford is that people believe that it is possible that this happened to her and it was not Kavanaugh. In the hearing, she was asked 3 times if she was certain that it was Kavanaugh, and at each time she responded that it was. Kavanaugh, meanwhile, has been painting himself in a fatherly churchgoer light, having said in an interview with Fox that he never drank to the point where he could not remember what happened. His Yale roommate claims otherwise, saying that he was frequently incoherently drunk and would resort to aggressive, belligerent behavior. During his hearing, he did not even attempt to hide his anger and had frequent spats and outbursts with Democratic senators who were questioning him. When asked about his drinking habits, his main and repeated response was, "I like beer," even asking senators of their drinking habits and what their preferred liquid poison is. Several senators, such as Kamala Harris, pressed him on why he did not want an FBI investigation and that he should want one if he is truly innocent, to which he repeated and deflected by saying that they would not be they would still be unable to conclude anything definite. Unsurprisingly, his short-tempered temper with Democrats brings them to the question his impartiality as a judge. Kavanaugh cited evidence of his calendars that he claimed were similar to that of diaries, which he never mentioned this alleged party of being with the people Dr. Ford described. He also dismissed the accusations of Deborah Ramirez and Julie Swetnick, who came out earlier this week with accusations against Kavanaugh, with Deborah coming up with accusations that Kavanaugh exposed himself to her drunk in a dorm room at Yale, and Julie Swetnick with accusations that we really are not going to go into until more details come out, but they're absolutely horrible. But when asked about these, Kavanaugh claimed that they were completely false. Kavanaugh and the Republicans' stance on this is best summarized by Trump's tweets after the hearing, saying that this is a complete sham and a setup by the Democrats to distract and to delay. Kavanaugh made many proclamations of the same degree and was quoted saying, "You may defeat me in the final vote, but you will never get me to quit. Never." After the hearing, Republican Senator Orrin G. Hatch, was quoted saying, "I don't think she's uncredible. I think she's an attractive, good witness." And when asked for clarity, he responded, "In other words, she's pleasing." Republican Senator of Iowa, Charles E. Grassley, was asked if he found her credible, and his response was that the situation needs to be taken seriously. Democrats have been urging for the confirmation vote to be delayed amid several accusations against Kavanaugh, but the Republicans are firm on holding it sometime next week. The fate of his employment, so says to lies, in the hands of the three senators, Susan Collins of Maine, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, and Jeff Flake of Arizona, all of which are Republican and have not been open on their views or what way they are leaning. The whole event is incredibly significant. We are in the midst of women empowerment, following the Me Too movement, and we are coming up on elections where white women are statistically the ones who turn up to vote the most and are major deciding votes. The recent polls are showing that there is a blue wave of people leaning more progressive. There's a lot of discussions on how this will affect the elections, and senators up for re-elections have been, for the most part, very careful with what they're saying to the press. And there has been the idea of some Republicans, especially after the hearing, will vote against Kavanaugh in order to save their seat in the Senate. The Republicans will need 51 votes, and they do not get them. And if they do not get them, then bringing in a new nominee is a process that most likely will not happen until after the midterm elections. With the fear of Democrats taking back the House, Republicans are at a tug-of-war of wanting a Republican in the Supreme Court, especially as the open seat in the judiciary branch, which is the deciding seat, meaning that it is evenly split in the judiciary as far as the political leaning. But it could be very possible that their decision to vote Kavanaugh in may cost them their own seat. I believe that it is a possibility that Kavanaugh could have been the one to done the sexual assault against Christina Ford, but not quite sure. I'm still up in the air with all of the information that is still being gathered. Alas, only time will tell, and we will have to see what the outcome is. What do you guys think? Do you think Kavanaugh will be voted in? That senators are wary of their own position in the Senate and fear voting one way may lose them their seat. We want to hear you guys have we want to hear what you guys have to say, no matter where you stand on the issues. So let us know in the comments below. This is Isabel. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week with hopefully some more news and answers. Thank you for watching. Bye.